Hi, I'm Deborah Dahab, expat coach and intercultural psychologist. Today, I'm going to talk about how routines and establishing routines can help you in your intercultural journey and your cultural transition. So if you like this video, please subscribe and comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this content. So let's get to it. So we are creatures of habit. Have you ever heard that? It's quite, common people say that. And it is quite true. We end up doing routines and habits even if we don't do it consciously. It might be things that we picked upon from our family, or we changed because circumstances required it, like a workplace or etc. So when you change to a new country, you have here a new opportunity to change certain routines. The routine will give you a sense of security, of safety. It's something that supposedly helps you anchor. Of course, there are people who thrive on novelty, and fine if you're one of those people who do not thrive in routines and don't see the benefit of it. That's fine. But most of us value the repetition of something and knowing that it will happen. Now, the repetition of something can be something positive or something negative, right? And this will depend on person to person. Of course, the positive things are, good nutrition, exercise, mental health through mindfulness, meditation, etc., etc. You've probably heard this before. And the bad routines, it can be, not sleeping enough, drinking too much, and eating too much unhealthy food, and so on and so on. I'm not going to talk about that because you've probably heard that a lot. What I'm going to talk about is why it's important to establish routines, and going to give you perhaps some ideas on what works for you, which might not be the obvious recipe that people give. So why is it important to establish routines? Because if you've seen my video on cultural transitions and cultural shock, the novelty, the honeymoon phase, wears off at a point. So unless you're a person who really, really thrives on novelty and is looking for new things, this tends to wear off after a while. This while, or this time frame, will depend on person to person. But the fact is that, the novelty will wear off at some point. And routines will establish themselves anyway. If you're going to workplace, you're going to have a time to start, a time to end. You might have colleagues, you might have some certain kind of place you go to or not if you're a freelancer, but it's likely that you're going to establish some kind of routine, either imposed by others, consciously or unconsciously, or you make the decision. And it's better if you make the decision of what you want to implement as a routine. So the routines can be really anchoring in the sense that that's important for you, that it brings you benefit. And also, it's important to look at routines that you've acquired over time and might not serve you anymore. So, for example, I'm going to give a very mundane example, is that many people have a habit, a routine of drinking coffee in the morning. And while this might work perfectly well for some people, for other people it might not. And if you go with the flow and have coffee just because it's something that you've learned and everyone else does it, it might not benefit you. So it's important to take stock and say, wait a minute, is this coffee good for me? Am I more productive? Am I less productive? What's going on here? And for that, it's important to stop a minute and look inside and observe your body. And how do I feel after coffee? How do I feel before coffee? Do I have, am I almost addicted to it, or even addicted to it. If I don't drink coffee, I have a headache. Just ask yourself these questions and make your own decisions. That's really important. And when you're in a different environment, going through cultural transitions, you have the opportunity to make new decisions because you're most likely in a place where the majority of people don't know you from before, and you can start things new. You can start new routines and new habits. So that's a great opportunity. Now, how do you do that? It's a lot of what I've mentioned before. It probably will lie upon one or two of these aspects, which is food, which is, our basic needs: food, sleep, um, exercise. So these aspects, are you exercising enough? Like, I found out very early on that I didn't like to go to the gym, that I liked things like yoga, Pilates, etc. So I don't even bother going to the gym. And I, like people, oh, I'm going to work out. I don't. I know my thing, and I know what works for me, even if sometimes it's not very popular, or it's harder to go because there are certain, classes, and you can't just go to the gym and work out, whatever. I'm just giving you some examples to try to make it more concrete. So when you move to a new country, this is the perfect opportunity to look at, how do I go about my day? What do I do that brings me energy? What do I do that depletes my energy? And think about these things in a very practical way. It doesn't have to be metaphysical or anything like that. Very down to earth. And choose one, maximum two, to change. Either you're going to eliminate something or you're going to incorporate something. And my suggestion to you would be to start small. So let's say you realize coffee doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and you end up a lot more stressed than when you have coffee than when you don't. So okay, so you've identified, and that's great because that's the first step and possibly the most important. So what do you want to do? Do you want to eliminate coffee, or do you want to substitute it for something else? So that moment, is it the substance of coffee? Is it the actual drinking the coffee that makes you stressful, or is it the time that you invest stopping and having coffee? No. I like to have the break. I like to have a coffee break. I just don't like to have coffee. Great. So have tea, for example, or juice, or whatever. So I'm giving some kind of silly examples maybe, but just to give you an idea that you don't have to eliminate something and not replace it with something perhaps healthier for you, and also to go a little bit deeper in what it is that makes this certain routine or habit positive or negative for you. And basically, I would say that, does it bring you energy or does it deplete your energy? And observing that and answering that question will help you set new and hopefully higher standards for your health and for your life in your new country, in your new international journey. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.